marriage has 3 rings: the engagement ring, the wedding ring, and the bicker ring. We're here to settle the fights that don't matter and have no winner. It's the 3 Rings Podcast with another new argument.
Can I do the intro this week?
Sure.
Oh, no, I don't. Now I'm, paralyzed by oh, no. I claimed up. I don't know how to do it.
Welcome to another episode of the 3 Rings Podcast. That was embarrassing.
I really fucked that up.
You dropped the ball considerably. Holy hell. We've only been doing this for half a year now.
I don't know. I wanted to go, hey.
That's it. Hey. Long pause for effect.
Sorry, guys. That was embarrassing.
You can give it another shot next week. But
okay.
Welcome to another episode of the 3 Rings Podcast. My name is Phil.
I'm Lauren.
And we are married.
We are.
You gonna be okay over there?
Yeah, that was just real bad.
Yeah, and it makes it worse that you were so excited and you're like, can I do it? As in, you had to have thought about it before, and then it was just nope, stage fright, immediate.
I didn't know how to start it without sounding stupid.
Okay.
I wasn't gonna do it.
No, it wasn't. It was not going to do it. But
man.
I
Sorry, guys.
I applaud the almost effort, and I applaud the initiative of wanting to do it.
I haven't done it in a single episode, and I don't even know what episode this is.
I don't know, but it's probably for the best, isn't it?
It.
We'll give you another shot next week.
Okay.
Holy shit. But again, welcome to our laughing-filled podcast. And if you're unfamiliar with what we do here on the 3 Rings Podcast, we argue about things that don't matter. So things like last week's episode where we were talking about, is astrology real? Which that got out of control.
I don't think I don't think it was about astrology real. It was about, again, I was arguing the merits of astrology.
Okay, so that was last week, and also some past episodes we've done. Should the dog sleep in the bed? And what's the best emo band? So
what's the best Taylor Swift song, which I won?
Oh, okay, brag about it. But it's all topics and conversations that most people will have, they will argue about, but in the grand scheme of life, they don't matter. So thank you for joining us for another edition. And one of the fun things that we like to do on this show is we like to do rapid fire episodes where it's basically a whole list of questions that you really can't focus an entire show around a single question, but it's just quick responses and some of the things that people have submitted over the past few months that they're just curious about. It's like, well, we can't make a show over some of these things, but this entire week is going to be focused on different beverages.
I love a beverage.
All sorts of good drinks.
Alcoholic and non-alike.
Yep,
so.
all sorts of things. So before we get into that, just a little bit of current events with what's been going on for the past couple of weeks with all the protesting. We hit on it a little bit last week, especially being based here in Louisville, Kentucky. Things have been kind of the forefront of the news with Breonna Taylor, with George Floyd. There's been a lot that's been happening in our city, and things have been improving a lot as far as...
it's been very peaceful.
Yeah, as far as the peacefulness of the protest. But we are all about people being able to protest. It is the right of the people to gather and to protest, and it's also freedom of speech, which obviously working in radio,
very
all
important.
about free speech.
Yes,
and all about the different messages in all of the protests.
You gave everybody a link last week. Do you want to repeat that?
I did. You can go to unitedforjustice.com if you want to get more information on the protests that are happening right now, and also that includes different links that you can visit for different organizations that you can either donate to or you can read up on for whatever area you happen to be in.
I'd also like to throw out the Louisville Community Bail Fund.
Yes.
As a organization to look into if you're looking to donate some money.
Yep.
It's a great one. So, again, that's the Louisville Community Bail Fund.
Yep.
Just check that out.
Yep.
But we are with you in our hearts and our minds, and fully support the Black Lives Matter movement. And,
yes.
yeah, let's drink.
Let's drink. Cheers to that.
Yeah.
I wish that I had a drink to actually
I know, me
cheers
too.
with.
It's hot in here. It's hot in Louisville right now.
It's just hot in general. It's called summertime. But yeah,
you wrote most of these. I don't really know what's coming. You wrote all of them.
I wrote all of these.
Yeah.
Go me. This is one of the first times where I've actually wrote all of these. So without further ado, another rapid fire edition, this time focusing on drinks. So we'll start with the biggest one, in my opinion, which this is going to be the one that divides everybody.
Yeah, it is. No, it's very true. And we are a house divided.
Coke or Pepsi?
I'm a Pepsi girl.
And you're fucking wrong. You're so 100%
I will say
wrong.
a lot of it has to do with, like, nostalgia.
Fuck you mean nostalgia? What's older than Coke?
I mean, nothing's older than Coke, but, like, my great-grandma, we used to stay with her every summer while my parents worked, and my great-grandma had this refrigerator that, for whatever reason, I'm sure it was, like, some malfunction with the refrigerator, but would make things so cold, and she used to stick cans of Coke cans of Pepsi, cans of Pepsi in the refrigerator, and then give them to us. We would go, she lived in an apartment, so we would go out to the pool, and then when we got back for lunch, she would give us these, like, ice cold cans of Pepsi, and they just like tasted different because they were like from my grandma and like after the pool. It's like a very specific memory, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's
so like now when I have a can of Pepsi, even if it doesn't taste like the way it did, or even if it's not as cold as it was when it came out of a refrigerator, like I still think of her. So it's just like a nostalgia type thing.
I'm not going to argue with nostalgia because nostalgia is a very powerful thing, but I am going to argue that the taste is what we're talking about here.
But I like the taste. I like, even if it, like, it's different. It's like, Pepsi is like, I feel like Pepsi is smoother than Coke. It's just like, it's like a silkier taste.
Coke has a little bit of bite to it.
Yeah, but I like the silkier taste of the Pepsi. Plus, like, cherry Pepsi is way better than cherry Coke.
I mean, I'll agree with that, but when you're talking just straight up Coke versus Pepsi, like, Coke is going to take it all day long.
I mean, Coke is the classic, but I prefer...
Pepsi is the second born.
Yeah, and I like them better, just like I like you better. Second born.
Just saying. Coke came first.
Okay.
Coke originated it. Everybody else has been a knockoff.
All right. Are you the knockoff of AJ?
Apparently. But according to you, a lot smoother.
All right. Let's move on. We love you, AJ.
How the fuck you can pick Pepsi. But as you're listening, please find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at 3 Rings Pod and chime in on the conversation.
At the beginning.
Well,
that's weird.
I want people to be engaged with this.
We're plugging the Instagram at a weird point. But anyways, continue on. What's the next one?
So I'm all about it. This one is a little more up your alley, mainly because to be perfectly honest, I don't really care that much, but a lot of people do. Red wine or white wine?
Red.
Wow, that was
hands
fast.
down. I mean, I love red wine.
Yeah,
I'm a red wine girl. Cabernet Sauvignon is my go-to. I think that like white wine has a time and a place, and that time is with like outdoor and like with like it's got to be real cold. But like red wine is my go-to. Like if I'm having like a chill out night with like another like a girlfriend or like our moms or something, red is going to be what I pick.
So here's my question, because I am completely ignorant to all things wine. Champagne would technically count as a white wine, wouldn't it?
That's a really good question. I don't really know. Like the I don't know. I know that in order for it to be champagne, it has to be from the Champagne region of France, and I know that it has to have like carbonation, but I don't really know if there's a difference between like. I mean,
technically,
I guess
it's just like a sparkling wine. I think it's the right phrase for it.
I guess champagne would be a type of. Well, there's champagne and prosecco. Yeah. God, I feel so uncultured right now. Yeah, and it's French or Italian, but I do think technically both would be a sparkling wine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess on a technicality, I mean, I would go with champagne, so that would technically be white.
I mean, champagne probably is my favorite alcoholic drink, like pinkies up. But like,
Yeah.
if we're talking just like the way that people view wine, I'm going with red wine. I'm going with a cab.
Yeah, I guess from the standard view. I mean, I would still pick a white wine if we're going with that. But I mean, champagne is a sparkling wine, and according to Wikipedia, sparkling wine is a wine with significant levels of carbon dioxide in it, making
Okay.
it fizzy. So, on a technicality, I'm going to say that it's included,
I will say-
and I'm going to go with it.
Well, and I will say the handful of times, and I literally maybe mean like the 5 times in our like almost 8-year-long relationship, the only times I've seen you drink wine have been white.
Yeah. So I don't like
So-
red wine. Again, that was something that I started
Red all
thinking
the
about.
way.
Yeah, I started thinking
I
about
feel
that.
like I don't know, and maybe this is like, and I do love a rosé too. I do love rosé,
Okay.
but yeah, I'm gonna go. And I feel like I don't know, like like I'm kind of a Francophile, and I just think that like something about having like a glass of red wine is just like so classy and like Parisian that like you can't like it hits different. You know what I mean?
I mean, I feel that way about champagne, though.
I mean, I do too. If I'm gonna drink
Like
a
champagne
white
is
wine,
like,
my champagne, I guess, would be, if we're calling champagne a wine, that would be my first choice. But
Yeah. That's definitely my first choice. And since we're in charge of this, I'm going to say that it counts.
okay, all right. Well,
Works
I
for
guess
me.
that's the benefit of getting to make the rules.
Yeah, very true. But next on our list, which I already know the answer, but I'm more curious about where everybody else kind of falls on this spectrum, which I feel that more people are going to side with you for obvious reasons. But when it comes down to just give me that boost of caffeine to get me through the day, coffee versus energy drinks.
Oh, you know,
I 100% know that yours is
Coffee
coffee.
is my favorite drink. Like, hands down, across the board. Coffee all day, every day. I like it more than water. I like it more than soda. I like it more than, like, alcohol. Like, give me coffee all day long. I've been like a total coffee head since I was little. I used to I was like 2 and asking for coffee in my bottles with my mom. My
Insane.
teddy bear is like that I have from childhood. His name is Coffee. I'm a total coffee head. I like decaf. I like regular. Give it to me all day. I think that energy drinks are straight up atrocious. They are like hazardous material.
I fucking hate coffee.
Yes, we know.
All kinds of coffee I hate. But give me any energy drink, whether it's Red Bull, whether it's Monster, whether it's Rockstar, whether it's...
And this is
fucking
something that
any
we really
of
worked
these.
on.
Yeah. It used to be a very
It
significant
was
problem
bad.
for me.
It was bad.
Like 2 a day.
Like,
kind
if our
of
children
shit.
come out with 2 heads, like, this is why. It's because Phil drank, like, more Red Bull than, like, anything else during his, like, early 20s. Yeah. It's... Like,
But-
I remember when we first
Well,
started
about-
dating, your, like, drink of choice was vodka Red Bull, which I think
Yeah.
that they've come out and said is, like, the equivalent of, like, doing cocaine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're mixing an upper and a downer, which
Yeah,
is
like,
not
yeah,
great
no.
for your body at all.
So,
That's
yeah.
that's like doing that's like doing a line of coke and then shooting up some heroin right after. It's
It's not
it's
good.
not great for
no,
you.
not good.
I mean, it's better than doing coke and heroin
I
at
don't
the same
even
time.
know,
But
like, how... I think that energy drinks are, like, so bad for you that I don't know how they're, like a 13-year-old could buy one. You know what I mean? Like, those should be, like, you should have to show ID to get an energy drink. Like, they are that bad for you.
I mean, but drinking too much coffee is also bad for you.
Drinking too much coffee is also bad for you, but it's also, like... It's, like, natural. It's more natural. It doesn't have, like, 18 different chemicals that are, like, guaranteed to, like...
So is cocaine.
Make you infertile.
Cocaine is a natural substance.
It's chemically altered.
Yeah,
Coffee's not chemically altered.
some.
Okay, well, this is like...
Give me all the energy drinks.
Energy drinks should only be used to, like, strip wallpaper. Anyways,
Coffee should only be
Next.
used to age documents so you can pretend that they're old.
Typically, people use tea for that, but anyway.
Coffee also works.
Next item.
Next on the docket, another favorite for a lot of people, beer or liquor?
Beer.
I'm taken aback. I was not
Why?
expecting
Really?
that. Yeah.
What did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say liquor.
Why? Do you
I'm
remember when
trying
you
to-
gave me that like tequila to sip and I ended up like pouring it out and you got really mad because it was like really expensive tequila?
Yeah. Sorry, George.
Sorry, George. But
I was not thrilled about that.
but it tastes gross. Like you have to like mix it with things in order for it to taste good. Beer by itself tastes good.
I'm not for some things. I'm not going to argue that, but I mean, would you rather
understand-
have a margarita or a beer? Margaritas have tequila in them.
I'd rather have a margarita.
So
I
that's
used
liquor.
to, but beer just makes me feel so sick. That's why. It's like a product of getting old. It's not a product of like my taste buds.
So I'm still confused though.
I'd rather if neither affected me in the way that they do currently, I would rather have a beer
Interesting.
than a margarita.
I feel like I don't know you anymore.
Well, what are you? What would you rather
I'm
have?
100% liquor.
What?
Yeah. I would
Since when?
since I don't know.
Anytime,
It hasn't been very recent. So, I mean, probably since we left Michigan.
Really?
Yeah, like liquor's just
Why?
more of a go-to. I don't know. There's more you can.
I mean, I know you
Do with
like
it?
bourbon a lot. Like bourbon's
Yeah.
like kind of your go-to now, but like other than that,
yeah. I mean, once I like started getting into bourbon, like that's really been a go-to. But I mean, I also did really like tequila. I liked vodka a
Ugh.
lot and things. Like
I hate vodka.
yeah.
Vodka's so gross. Like I know that it's supposed to be like the drink you're supposed to drink if you're like trying not to
Well, I
like
mean,
gain a ton of weight, but like it's disgusting.
It's
I'd
just
rather
easy
be
to make a lot of
fat and
things.
drink beer than drink tequila or rum or whatever. Anyways, next thing. Let's go.
I mean, this kind of ties into what we were just talking about, and more in your wheelhouse when it comes to margaritas.
Yes.
Would you rather have a margarita that's on the rocks or frozen?
On the rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really love like the slushy kind because I think that it's like, and this could be total like my brain just like being weird, but like I think they're like more watered down. Like I don't taste the flavor of it as much because it's just like mostly ice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think that's your brain being like weird. I think that is kind of the case.
Okay, yeah. So I prefer on the rocks. What about you?
To be perfectly honest, I would probably prefer frozen.
Really?
Just like if
I don't think I've ever seen you drink a frozen margarita.
Well, here's my thing. Well, I mean, I don't really get margaritas in general.
No,
usually
that's
just
true.
Not,
That's usually
not my
me.
thing. But whenever it comes to like, if it comes to like margaritas or daiquiris or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that, I mean, like think about like I know it's gonna be a little bit traumatic, but think back to our honeymoon
Oh, God.
and our cruise.
Oh, no. Yeah.
How
do I
many?
have to?
Yeah, how many of the drinks that I got, the cocktails and stuff, were frozen?
That's, you know what, that is fair. I would say that that's accurate.
So I guess when it comes to margarita
But
specifically,
why would you
yeah,
choose the watered down version of the thing?
Just because I don't know. It's just a
Do you
personal
find it
preference.
more refreshing? Like,
I
I'm
find
trying to
it to
figure
be
out the
like-
logic here.
Well,
Because for me, to like,
probably,
if
yeah.
I'm paying $7 or $8 for a drink, like, I want the drink. I don't want like some watered down like version of the drink.
Think of it this way: when you go to the movie theater, do you want a frozen Coke or do you want a Coke?
I get a frozen Coke. I do.
So
I do, but I find them
why
more
would you get
refreshing. I'm
the
not really like a
watered down
soda
version?
I'm not a soda drinker.
I'm not a
Sometimes
margarita
like
drinker.
regular soda like tastes too sweet, so like the frozen Coke like satisfies the wanting. Okay, all right,
See,
all right.
I got
all
my
right,
hands in the air
okay.
and everything. Sometimes I just don't want
Okay.
that full sweet margarita flavor. I'm good with just having a slightly diluted frozen one. So that's my take on that. Let's switch gears from things that are cold and frozen to things that are hot. Hot chocolate or hot tea?
Tea,
I
100%.
knew you were going to say tea.
I love tea.
I know you do. You have so much tea.
I do. I really like a
don't get it.
variety of tea. I'm not a huge herbal tea person, but I love a black tea and I love a green tea.
I don't get that at all. I'm 100% hot chocolate. Like that.
Yeah,
That's
you do love hot chocolate.
That's my jam. When it's winter, like, just make me hot chocolate. If you want to spike it, sure.
Wasn't there a drink that we got at? Oh, it was. You know what? I'm not thinking of a hot drink. There was like, because usually when I would go into Starbucks, you would get a hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Or I think I've seen you get a hot cider maybe one time.
Maybe if it's the fall, yeah.
Yeah,
we'll go for
but
hot
like
cider.
you tried the pink drink and you really liked that. But
Yeah.
it's a cold drink. That's not a hot
That's
drink.
a cold
It's not
drink.
the same.
Yeah, I don't know where that thought process was coming from,
I
but
was just thinking, like, I was trying to think of what you get when we go to like Starbucks or a coffee shop, and it just kind of like deteriorated from there.
okay. Well, the last one that I have, I can see you writing things, so it might not be the last one completely, but the last one that I have is just more of a question as opposed to a this or that. Would you say that a milkshake is a drink?
Oh, that's a good question.
So I would say no, because it's
not a drink.
It's more ice cream and like dessert than anything else.
I would say it's like a dessert drink. Like I would put it on the same level as those like chocolate cocktails or whatever. Like
like mudslides?
Yeah, like I wouldn't get a mudslide and a piece of cake. I would get either or. Like I'm not going to get a milkshake and get like a piece of pie. I'm either going to get one or the other.
I guess that's fair a little bit. I don't know. Like for me, like it seems more like a dessert thing as opposed to like a beverage, you know? So I don't know if you...
But I think it can be both is what I'm saying. I think it's a drinkable dessert. Kind of like a, what are those things at Wendy's? A Frosty.
Yeah.
Would be a drinkable dessert. Is a Frosty a milkshake?
No, Frosty is...
Like soft serve?
Pretty much, yeah.
Like kind of melty soft serve.
Yeah. It's what you dip your fries into.
Oh, God,
which is so not good. Even a debate. If you don't dip your fries in a Frosty, you're fucking wrong.
Yeah, don't get out of our face.
Seriously.
Okay, here's my last thing. Okay.
Okay.
So, taking all of the drinks that we have discussed, if you had to rank your favorite to your least favorite drinks, what would that be? So like I've got like pop, wine, beer, margaritas, hot cocoa, tea, coffee, water, energy drinks, liquor, champagne. So if you had to rank
like what I want to drink first,
favorite to least favorite. Do you need to see the...
I need to see the list because I don't fully understand. But also, like, a lot of it just kind of depends on my mood.
But, like, you don't have a favorite? Like, you wouldn't choose... Do you want me to do mine?
If I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be, like, either drinking pop or liquor with, like, getting, like, bourbon.
Okay.
Like, those are probably going to be the top two.
Okay.
As far as, those are the top two as far as what I drink the most. Mm-hmm. Then, energy drinks are up there when I need them. But, like coffee, tea, like...
wine,
like those are... I don't want those ever. Champagne, like if I'm feeling fancy, like, yeah, like I'll drink an entire bottle of champagne and be like, yeah, let's fucking party. But, like beer, I have to be in the right mood for, like hot cocoa. Like it has to be cold. I can
rank them.
Like hot cider, it has to be like fall time. Like it's too mood dependent for me.
My number one is coffee, of course,
yeah,
and then I would do water. Like I'm a big water drinker. I especially like fruit infused water.
I don't like water.
So those are, and then tea,
okay,
and then I would say champagne,
okay,
and then I would do wine in general, and then I do pop, and then I do beer, and then I do margaritas, and then liquor, and then energy drinks would be how my ranking goes.
All right.
So people share with us what your favorite drinks are. Tell us if you disagree or agree with either of our choices.
Yeah, pick your favorite out of all the ones that we
Did we forget a
for.
drink? Is there another great drink debate that we...
There probably
What's your
is.
favorite? So, like, if you had to recommend a bourbon to the people, what would your bourbon recommendation be?
Ooh, I like that. I would like people to recommend bourbons to me. But
Bourbons, not whiskey. We should make that caveat.
Yeah. And if you need to ask the difference, then ask the difference, and I will happily tell you what the difference is.
So we've done the Evan Williams tour so many times that we could practically, like, tell you all of the, like... I think we could memorize. I think we have
A
memorized
lot of it we
the
have,
qualifications. Yeah.
But if I was going to recommend a bourbon, my favorite that I've had so far has been from Evan Williams. It's been the single barrel. It's so good. You can have it straight. You can have it mixed.
I don't know if I have a favorite type of bourbon, but I have a favorite distillery, which would be Rabbit Hole. I really liked Rabbit Hole.
Rabbit Hole was great, and they're local, so anybody that's listening in Louisville, make sure to go and check them out because they are fantastic. I think they are back open at this point now.
I have no idea. I have no clue.
I think so. I think they opened maybe last week. I could be wrong. If they didn't open last week, they opened today.
But do the Evan Williams tour first and then do the Rabbit Hole tour.
Yeah, two different perspectives on bourbon in general. But a lot of great places. And if you're not from Louisville and you want to come visit, then
hit us up.
We'll make plans and we'll drink bourbon.
Yeah, we'll help you figure out stuff to do if we don't know you.
Yeah, also that.
If we know you can stay with us.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that because there's going to be people that we know that are like, can we stay with you? And it's
no,
we're booked up.
Yeah, straight booked.
Sorry.
Every weekend.
Crazy.
Oh, no.
You should have reserved way earlier before the pandemic.
Yeah, yikes.
Sorry.
Anyways, hit us up at 3 Rings Pod. That's THREE Rings Pod on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Tell us your thoughts and your favorite drinks, or if we missed a drink debate.
Yep.
And listen to us or download our podcast, rate us, review us on Apple Podcasts. You can pretty much listen to us anywhere there are podcasts at this point.
Yep.
We would love it if you would share with your friends. And we will see you next week. What are we talking about next week?
Next week is getting back to something we are both very passionate about, and we're going to be talking about the best decade in music.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
This is something we differ greatly on.
Yeah.
By
many years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, join us next week. We'll see you later. Bye.
Thanks for listening to another weekly episode of the 3 Rings Podcast. We'll be back next week with another new argument. In the meantime, follow us on all social media platforms at 3 Rings Pod. Join in the argument and tell us who's right, who's wrong, or why you have the right answer. Whatever. Just tell us stuff.